Hi everybody, it's Kara, and I wanted to share the weeks planner that you can find on the Hobonichi website. This is on the Japanese side of the website, so if you are on the English side and want to go check these out, look in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. There should be the word Japanese up there in the corner, and you should be able to click on it, and I believe that's going to take you to the Japanese side of the website. Now, the downside is that the Japanese side of the Hobonichi website is in pretty much all Japanese. So you have to kind of wander around and figure things out without the help of any kind of, signs or English language or anything like that. But the good side is that it's set up in a format very similar to the English side, so it's typically not that difficult. I've been over there several times and gotten things from that side. There aren't a ton of differences between the two sides, but there are a few things, and one of them is this particular planner. So I just want to let you know where to go look in case you're interested. I do want to mention that if memory serves, when I went to the Japanese side and I put some things in my cart, that when I went back to the English side, those things were in English in my cart so that I could verify that I got the right things. And I should mention, if you're on the Japanese side, I believe the word English will be up in the left-hand corner, so you can click on that and go back to the English side of the website. So hopefully that helps you guys maneuver around a little bit. There are obviously some big differences between this weekly planner and the daily planner that I think most people get. This is that A6 size that I showed you in the first Hobonichi video. And this is the weekly one. You can see the obvious difference in the size. This is 4x6 right here, and this one is approximately 3.5 by 7.5. It's just a smidge more than 3.5 and just a smidge less than 7.5, so I'm just kind of letting you know that. And of course, the other big difference is in the thickness. This one for the weeks is obviously much thinner because it is a weekly planner as opposed to a daily planner. That's one of the big noticeable differences. And of course, the covers themselves are very different. This planner's cover is really kind of made to be in another cover. If you've looked at the Hobonichi website, you know what I mean, and if not, you'll see it in a couple videos because I'll show you what this looks like all put together. But basically, this cover is a little bit thinner. This one is more similar to a book cover. Probably not a super thick book cover, but a book cover nonetheless, so that I think it would be a little bit more sturdy if you wanted to just use the planner like this and toss it in your purse. This one, I think you could probably still do it, but I'd be a little bit more worried about it getting bent or something like that. The other big thing, aside from the general layout inside, that I noticed is that the color of the pages is different. Here, let's do this one. So in the A6 English planner, you can see it's kind of a white paper, obviously. This one has more of a cream or yellow tinge to it, so there is a difference in the color of the paper. Okay. Now, obviously, there's going to be some big layout differences because this is a daily planner and this is a weekly one. So let me show you what those are in this particular planner. Once again, this did come from the Japanese side of the website, so that means that the majority of the words and type and all that good stuff in here is going to be in Japanese, so you need to keep that in mind. You open this up and you just first start with a nice little, piece of pattern paper both on the back side of the cover and as the first page. It's thicker than the other paper. Hopefully it'll help kind of protect it a little bit. Once you open that up, you're going right into that really nice Tomoe River paper. Super thin and very smooth. And once again, you start off with yearly calendars, 2015, 2014, 2016, and there's some Japanese written down here, which of course I don't know what it is, so I may cover that up. I haven't decided. After these two pages, you can flip to the next page, which is the kind of year at a glance, January through December 2015, and you can see, in comparison to my hands, those little blocks are pretty small. You're not going to be able to write a lot there, but I do have an idea for something I'm going to use here. And I do like that it's kind of nice and compact and you can see it all in, one viewing because it's just on the double-sided spread basically. Then once you have this, you start going into the monthly pages. They're pretty similar to the ones in the English planner. Start on a Monday, okay? And you have some room for a little bit of notes right up here, some notes down here, and then down at the bottom on this page, hopefully you guys can see the little boxes. So you could have a little to-do list or something like that you could put down there and check off as you did it. The monthly calendars start in December of 2014 and go through, if memory serves, March of 2016. And let me flip to that last one. And there you go. They're all set up in a very similar fashion. Again, notes on the side and the bottom, little check boxes, all that jazz. So the nice thing about having a few months in 2016 is if you want to do a little planning into the future, you have that option. Once you're done with the monthly pages, then you go into the weekly ones. And that's really what I got the book for, was these weekly pages. On this side over here, you have the days of the week. This is starting in December of 2014. So you have December 1st, which I believe is a Monday, at the top of the page, going all the way through the 7th, the Sunday. Again, in this book, Sundays are that orange color. So that helps you because, of course, in this book, since this is all Japanese, you really don't have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You do have the number, so that will help you figure out, you know, the date, obviously. But as you can see down here, most of the rest of it is Japanese. There is another little set of boxes down on the bottom of the weekly side that you can use for another little to-do list or something like that. And then on the opposite side, the right-hand side of the page, this is just a basically plain page grid paper that you can do whatever you want to with. There is a line in here that is darker than the others. So if you wanted to do some sort of bullet journaling or do a schedule or something like that, that would be possible pretty easily in here. But as you can hopefully tell, it's not hugely noticeable either. So if you wanted to ignore it and just, you know, not even use it, I think that's a good option too. And then down here in the corner, you can always see what week you're on because in the little monthly calendar it is circled. Okay, so you have that. So that's pretty much the weekly setup. And that goes through, let's see, the first few days in January of 2016. I should point out, because it's not quite so noticeable in this one, there are little tabs as the months change. Hopefully you can see those, okay? But the other thing that I really liked is, as you can see, here are all of the weekly pages right here, okay? So it's a nice, good little chunk of paper in this planner. But over here, right there, are all of these wonderful pages of just that blank grid paper. Again, with that nice line if you want to use it, but it's all blank. So you can see you have lots and lots of blank paper to write with in here. So if you want to plan on a weekly level and journal, you have that option. You have lots of extra paper. Yeah, there's a ton of things I think you can do with this particular planner. In the very back, you have all of the normal you know, informational pages, but of course they're in Japanese. So I'm not sure if I'm going to paint over these or what I'm going to do, but you have all of those. You have a couple pages near the back of these that are set up to be what looks like contact pages, again in Japanese. And then at the very back you have what I'm thinking is a place to put your personal information in case you lose it. There are two built-in bookmarks. I'm assuming that they are geared to kind of fit with the pattern of your particular planner. Mine is kind of a light silvery gray and then a kind of a darkish charcoaly color. Maybe almost, it's hard to tell in this light, it might almost be a little brown too. And then of course the back page. So there's the basic planner. I did want to point out it did come with a couple little extras. It came with this little pocket. Thankfully it had this little picture down there so I could figure out what the heck it was. And basically, if you can see, this little white part is going to come off. You can see that right there. And there'll be a little clear pocket that will stick down on the sides. And I could put that right back here, like so. So I'll have a nice little pocket back there for whatever I want to tuck in there. And then of course for those that are in, I'm assuming Japan, there is a railway map that was included, which I just thought was kind of cool to look at. You can see all of this. Look at that. I thought that was kind of neat. So that all came with the actual planner. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I did want to mention, because I'm not sure if I did, when you're over there on the Japanese site looking at these, this particular planner does come with a lot of different options for the cover, but of course they're not removable, so you're pretty much stuck with the planner cover that you pick for the full year. You can get patterned covers like this one. There are different options. There's several that are really cute, and they do have solid colored ones, and they have the plastic cover on cover, so if you want a pattern on top of it, you can do that. I think there's like 3 options for those. There's also a clear option for the cover on cover, which I have and will show you later on in another video, if you want to put it on there so that you can protect your planner and help it last a little bit better and longer. So that's available too. That's over on the Japanese side of the site. So check that out when you're over there in case you're interested in this particular planner. Okay, I think that's everything for this planner. If I missed anything or you have any questions, leave them down below. Of course, comments are always welcome. I'm going to do a 3rd video because I have one other planner from the Hobonichi website that I want to share with you guys to give you yet another option, and then I'll do a 4th one with them all set up with their covers and tell you what I'm going to use each of them for, and share the accessories that I purchased as well. So hopefully you will check back for those videos, and I hope that wherever you are, you guys are having a great day. Bye everybody.